This is chapter 24 of The Night Singer. 24. As Eric opened the kitchen door, Lena's mother took a quick step back in the hallway, mumbling an apology about wanting to ask how it was going. It was obvious she had been trying to eavesdrop, but if she had managed to hear anything, she would hardly have been loitering outside as he and Hannah made to leave. They let her go in to Lena. "Leave me alone," Eric heard Lena hiss as they left the house. "We need to talk to Molly," said Hannah. "If you can call Ove, I'll ask Rebecca where she is." "Sure," said Eric. There was a hedge separating the two properties, and Hannah walked down to the road and around it. Eric moved the car over to Rebecca's driveway, wanting to keep an eye on the house, so that he could act quickly if Hannah needed help. There was no sign of movement behind the closed blinds, and Eric dialed Ove's number. He saw an elderly woman approaching, a red rose in one hand. She hesitated when she saw him, but then stepped forward and laid the rose on top of the other flowers by the gate. When Ove picked up, Eric recapped what Lena had said and told him they were planning to talk to Joel's little sister. "Good," said Ove. "Sounds like things are moving forward." Eric murmured in agreement. "I'll ask one of the others to look into this Fanny girl," Ove continued. "What's her surname?" "Broberg." "Nothing new to report on this end, I'm afraid," said Ove. "But I'll let you know if anything changes." "So we still haven't tracked down the owner of the car from the rest area?" "Sadly not. We've left messages on his phone, but he hasn't called back yet. He's on leave from work, not due back until Monday." "And the cyclist the German saw?" "Amir hasn't managed to identify him yet." Hannah reemerged from Rebecca's house, and Eric ended the call as she opened the driver's side door. "It's better if I drive. I know the way. Molly's at her grandmother's, but I don't have the address. I just know who used to live there." "And who was that?" "A religious studies teacher who should have become a priest instead." Eric walked around to the passenger side. "Rebecca didn't recognize the blonde woman either," Hannah told him as he climbed in. A few minutes later, she pulled up outside a small red house. Its brown front door was to the right of a large window with a green frame, and for a brief, confused moment, Eric was sure that he had been there before. Then he realized that the memory came from a children's book his mother had read to him until it fell apart. The house was the spitting image of the one Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother had lived in. Hannah was quicker out of the car than he was. A woman with gray hair opened the door. Eric explained who they were and why they had come, but her eyes were fixed on Hannah. "I recognize you," she said. "I was at school with Rebecca." "Are you Laz Dunker's daughter? I heard she was back." Hannah nodded uncomfortably, but Sandhya was already done with the subject. "Molly is inside." Sandhya showed them into a living room that was far removed from the pared back style of Eric's childhood book. The wooden furniture was just as simple, but there was more of it, and there was also a pale gray sofa dotted with colorful cushions. Molly was sitting on the floor surrounded by a ring of paper printouts. Various animals, mostly birds, that she was hurriedly coloring in, but her fingers were streaked with ink. "It would be good if you could stay here with us." Oh my god. Okay. "It would be good if you would stay here with us." Eric turned to Sandhya, raising a finger to his mouth to show her not to speak. Whenever they interviewed someone as young as Molly, they needed a witness. Strictly speaking, it was supposed to be someone without a connection to the girl, and if they were being particularly picky, the person who did the interview should also be a specialist in dealing with children. In practice, however, the situation always determined what happened. Molly was a child who might have information that was vital to the case, and they needed to get to that information as quickly as possible. Hannah dropped to her knees beside the 6-year-old girl. "Hello, my name is Hannah." Molly glanced up and said hello, immediately turning her attention back to the wings of the parrot she was coloring purple. "I'm friends with your mom, but I'm also a police officer." The girl coloring stopped. "Are you going to find the person who hurt Joel?" "Yes, I'd really like to do that, but I need your help. What happened when Joel and Lena came to pick you up from school last week?" Molly began coloring again. "Do you mean with Fanny?" "Yes," said Hannah. "What did she do?" "She was choking me." "Why?" Molly looked up at Sandhya, who gave her an encouraging smile. Eric kept to the background, wanting to avoid disrupting the rapport Hannah had with the girl. After a brief pause, she continued. "Fanny wanted money. Some of the others steal money from home and give it to her. Then she doesn't hit them." "Why do you say no?" asked Hannah. "Mama always said we don't have enough money. I get pocket money, but I'm saving it." What are you saving up for? A rabbit. I really want a horse, but I can't save that much. It'll take years. Has Fanny ever done anything else to you? Molly picked up an orange pen and began filling in the parrot's breast feathers. For a while, Eric was sure she wasn't going to answer. She says mean things, but she hasn't choked me again. What does she say? That she'll kill me if I tattle, or if Joel doesn't do what she wants. And what does she want Joel to do? I don't know. Molly dropped the pen and looked up at Hannah. Eric didn't know how she could stay so calm. He was simmering with rage. He would never be able to work with kids. I'm scared she's going to choke me now that Joel is gone. I'll talk to Fanny, I promise, said Hannah. And after that she won't dare hurt you or any of the other children. Molly threw herself at Hannah, almost knocking her over, hugging her tight. Thank you, Hannah said. You've been a huge help. Is there anything else you want to tell us? Molly shook her head. Or do you have any questions? Hannah continued. Do you want to draw with me? I love drawing, said Hannah, reaching for a butterfly that still hadn't been colored in. After she had colored the body blue, she handed the sheet of paper to Molly. Maybe you can choose the color of the wings. I have to get back to work now. Molly put the parrot to one side and chose a yellow pen to fill in the butterfly's wings. Sonia followed Hannah and Eric out onto the porch. What a monster, she muttered. I know, said Hannah, but it's vital you let us deal with this. Please don't mention what you've heard to anyone but Molly's parents. Of course, said Sandra. I'm not like the other gossips around here. Sandra held Hannah's eye, and Eric suspected she wasn't simply talking about the present. There must have been plenty of talk about Hannah and her father back in the day, and the fact that Hannah had returned to the island had likely stirred it up again. He felt a sudden pang of guilt at having pressed her. Hannah nodded to Sandra, who closed the door. What do you think? Eric asked. That whatever was going on between Joel and Fanny was about more than her strangling Molly. We need to find out what Fanny wanted Joel to do.